Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. I am having a frustrating time, mostly on my fault because I screwed up reading instructions on how to manually reinitialize my PS4 that I was doing a hard drive swap on, and whatever, it's working over here somewhere. So if you hear some beeps, it's doing its thing while I wait for that to reconstruct itself. Anyways, today's topic is about the US. I have said multiple times that if the US enters into an official kinetic conflict, it's going to spread like wildfire. And we've seen multiple examples of this. Black Lives Matters started in the United States and spread all around the West. Like, it hit here in Canada, where typically the racial divide is not, white versus black. It's white versus Indigenous, Indian, Native American, First Nations, however the fuck I'm supposed to identify them nowadays. Because, that's up for grabs, because apparently we can't have solid definitions and correct terminology for people. But it's happened most recently with the LA, what started as LA ICE riots morphed into the No Kings protest, which went no kings / no tyrants, because some people realized that in Canada and Great Britain, there is a king that they kind of don't want to get rid of at this time. The establishment wants that vestigial figure to stay there, at least for the time being. But I mean, you can see it every time there's a buildup of tension in America. Everybody else kind of waits with bated breath to see how it plays out. Now, so far, Donald Trump, in his term as president, has done a relatively good job of keeping the violence to a minimum. And while there's no real major support for or against his initiatives, to the point where violence would spread, but it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, until the apparatus in which freedom-loving people around the world are resisting attempts to take another shot at Trump and suck him into something that is very close to a kinetic civil war type environment. It may not be labeled as such, but that's kind of what it will be. So, if that happens, obviously Canada is going to get sucked into it. We have our current leadership appears to be very, very cozy with Democrat leadership, to the point where they've helped each other with each other's elections, and they also very much walk in the same line of things. Oh, look, good news. Looks like my restoration of my PS4 was successful. Let me turn this off so it does not distract me any further, I should say. So, but obviously Mexico is going to get pulled into it as well. Those cartels are going to smell weakness, and their largest customer base is in the United States, so they're going to have a stake. If the U.S. goes all the people, around the world who are in tension with their government, let's just say in the West, along, the freedom-minded people versus, let's say, the woke, the identitarians, the globalists, the pro one world order people, there's going to kick off. All right. The question is, does the U.S. kick it off? It's Donald Trump is doing a really good job on domestic policy, but I fear with his most recent foreign policy with Iran, it was a massive misstep that could be a catalyst because he could get sucked into wars very easily if he doesn't. Let's just put it this way: Donald Trump, contrary to the image that he has created, does care a certain extent, right, about people. And he has been suckered in time and time again with the narrative of, hey, look, this action can solve all your problems and will help a whole bunch of people, and you will be the greatest guy on earth. COVID and what looks like what happened with Iran. Okay? What happens when Ukraine, their army, finally fails? Like, it's not a matter of if, it's when. The Russians are grinding them down. They are winning the attrition war to an absurd degree. The Ukrainians are at the point where they're going to get very desperate very quickly for manpower, because the only people that can realistically left in the country to fight is the only people they really can't recruit to fight, because it will be the future of those will be the men that will be the future of the country. It's the ones that are currently exempt because they're attending what here in Canada we call post-secondary school, university, college, however you want to call it, and those exempt because they are connected to the regime in some way or form. It's only a matter of time until they start doing the calculus of, well, do we use these people or not? They realistically can't. Like, if they throw them into the meat grinder, Ukraine is done as a nation. And, like, Russia takes over completely. Or could take over completely. I don't think Putin exactly wants to deal with the problems of taking over from Kiev to the border up there in the north with Poland and what is it? Is that Hungary up there as well? I do not think Putin wants to deal with that part of the country, because that is the Banderite part of the country, and that is as anti-Russian as you can get, because they basically believe Hitler's weird ass narrative that the Ukrainian people are like the lost tribe of Aryans. Yeah, Bandera was a fucking crazy asshole. The Nazis were crazy too, but like, when the Nazis lock your ass up for being too crazy and too extreme, you got a problem. Anyways, there is a chance that when that happens, or when that begins to become a reality, all right, that the major European regional powers, if you can call them that anymore, sucker Trump into doing something incredibly stupid in Ukraine to protect the Ukrainian people from Putin. Or more realistically, I think he could get sucked into a massive war with Iran, all because Netanyahu is going to continue to push his luck in all likelihood. Like, he's already pushing his luck, has already pushed his luck. He's realistically got nothing left to lose. He's in an all or nothing game when it comes, because he's, again, on the political outs, and I don't see him making a political comeback after the mess that he has caused for Israel. Like, if you look at net favorability of Israel, all right, it has gone down ever since Netanyahu, ever since October 7th. Well, weeks after October 7th, when Netanyahu launched his basically all out war. Like, Gaza is worse off than Dresden. Somewhere in between Dresden and Tokyo after the fire bombings. Somewhere in between there. Like, it's bad. And then the stunt he pulled to get America to bomb Fordo, and how, this is the links afterwards that most likely came from Mossad, by the way, that yes, the Israelis were desperately trying to find Khamenei and kill the Ayatollah. And then you also have the leaked audio tapes of, I believe they're Mossad agents, but they may be some other Israeli government official or of some variety. I can't remember exactly. Threatening the families of Iranian generals, saying, "You surrender now, or we will kill these civilians." Like, it's the damage Netanyahu has done. Like, eventually the civilian populace is going to turn on him, but the political apparatus is going to turn on him. All right, his gambles has so far failed at a time when he needed the gambit to pay off so that he could retain power. But then again, Bibi has come back time and time again. He is one of the best modern day political survivors. I would put him in the top 5 with Erdogan. I would put Trump in there as well, but for different reasons. So, like, if the U.S. gets sucked into some stupid conflict, there very well could be domestic problems. Like, I have said this for over a year now, that the current state of the West is you cannot really realistically send any of these nations to war because you won't have the volunteers. You will need to draft, and in those drafts you will have more than draft riots, and that will spill over into civil conflict, and it will be worse than what happened with the Russians during the Russian Revolution during World War One. Okay? You will be fighting increasingly on 2 fronts, one more important than the other, the home front. Like, and it, again, like, if the U.S. kicks it off, all right, it spreads, and it does not stop spreading in the West. Like, there is a priming period of what's going on. I was just watching some, or I watched something that is very interesting coming from Payman Asghari, who I have a favorable relationship with, but it reminded me of multiple times during the French Revolution, and you're just getting to this point where if something significantly positive does not happen in the West, in specific Western countries, all right, it's just a matter of time. Like, it could still be 40, 50 years down the road. Like, people forget how long conditions have to be bad before civil strife or conflict or war kicks off. It is not something that, like, the taxes are raised by, 5 or 10%, in a year, and then you have war. That's not how it happens. There is years, decades, sometimes even hundreds of years of building pressure in the populace until you hit that point of, the straw that broke the camel's back. And this is a severe problem because, like, as countries continue to crack down on, say, free speech, and all that entails, proper protesting, the practicing of one's own religion, not having government overreach in that area of life. As those crackdowns continue, you are breaking a pressure release valve on a hot water tank. Very famously, if you have not watched the episode of Mythbusters, I highly recommend. Mythbusters actually got a hot water heater to turn into a rocket, and then I also believe what you would call almost an explosive device, because it was pressure. It was a pressure explosive. That is the equivalent of what's happening. As you destroy these, what were built as safety mechanisms to allow people to voice change peacefully, as you close those off, the other options are what's left. I don't want that to happen. Now, see, I think there's still some time left before you hit the point of no return. And it's because life is still very, very good, even if, especially in Canada, it's very unaffordable. Most people have phones, they have some access to the internet, they have some variety of speech online where they're able to vent. But again, as that gets closed off, frustrations boil over and people start taking action in the real world. So, I still think, like, you've got these conditions of priming for civil war all over the West, okay? And very much you could have, in 5-10 years, a German civil kinetic conflict. You could have a civil kinetic conflict all over the United Kingdom, France, whatever, due to, immigration policies, economic policies, yada, 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 yada. So many domestic policies are causing this. But I think, if the U.S. goes, it guarantees everybody goes. Although, to be fair, I think also if one country in Europe goes, I think Europe ignites, because everybody's gonna. It's gonna be more along the lines of what is it? The mostly failed civil revolutions of, was it the 1830s, 1840s that happened? Like, you had several revolutions. They didn't last long and they weren't really successful, but I think you could get something like that where, like, one country is like, nah, it's go time, let's go. And, let's say England's like, it's go time, let's go. And then the Irish are like, fuck it, let's go. And then the French are like, well, they're getting in on this, we'll get in on this as well. The question is, because, the enemy of the freedom people, the people who wish for more freedom and and so on and so forth, are fighting a united or semi-united power faction that is global, does it escalate into a, worldwide civil conflict? I mean, it would be a world war, but it in reality it would be united factions in each country giving each other cover for their own civil war. So I still think, like, the United States is the linchpin. Um, although I even said, if something happens in a European country, I think it's go time for most of them. Um, I think really the linchpin is the United States because it is seen as the beacon of this. Like, you can go anywhere in the world and people watch American, whether it's online content, movies, TV shows, whatever. America is the cultural center of the world at this point in time. You can basically go anywhere and find American culture. All right? Whether that's right or wrong, it's what happens. So if that's why I really do theorize that America is kind of the linchpin. And if the US burns, the West won't be far behind. That's the video for today. I will see you tomorrow with something I have no idea. Until then, have a great day, and I will see you in whatever topic video I come up with next.